Okay, let's create an example program on sales order or purchase order data, and we'll create a ALV report. Okay, we'll try to add interactive option for the ALV report. We'll make it as an interactive report. First, we'll create a basic report, and we'll change that basic report to interactive ALV report. Okay. What type of program? Executable program we are creating. For now, save it in the local package. That means local object. Here, comments are not generating automatically. Anyway, that is optional. You can also add your own. Selection screen. Now, what are the steps we need to follow before creating any program? Step 1. Let's assume you are in a project. You'll get a requirement. How they can assign you the requirement? How your lead or manager can assign you the requirement or the development what you need to do?
Selections condition.
Sorry, what is it?
Selections condition.
No, that's okay. I'm talking about the project process. In the project, how someone assign work for you?
In Jira tool.
Mm. They use Jira or ServiceNow. These are project management tools where task will be assigned to you. Okay, and you need to work on that task. I'll give you a simple example. Let's say there is a issue with your mobile network. When you call the customer care, what they'll do? They'll create a ticket, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And what they'll do with the ticket? They'll assign the ticket to a corresponding team or respective employee who can resolve that issue, right? So to assign those tasks in projects, in general we use Jira or ServiceNow. Here they create the task and upload all the relevant documents for the development and assign on your name, so that you will get a email notification about assigning that particular task. And you need to open the task, read, functional specification documents which are added to that task, right? And you need to understand the functional specification documents. What is the next step? Who will provide the functional specification documents?
Functional consultant.
Functional team.
Functional consultant, corresponding functional consultant. If the requirement is on sales order data, SD consultant will give you that specific functional specification. So what they'll mention in the functional specification? The detailed requirement, what they are expecting, right? What are the inputs they want to be in the selection screen? What is the desired output? what are the tables we need to use to select the data, right? And there are any special validations or conditions, they'll mention all those details in the functional specification document. Okay, and what is the next step? Create technical specification document. Who will create this? A web developer.
Developer.
It's you. By reading the functional specification document, you need to understand the requirement and you need to create the technical specification documents for that development based on functional specification document inputs. So what you are going to mention in the technical specification document? So you mention technical details of the development, like what is the program name, what are the function modules you are using in the program, right? What are the function module names, what is the function group you have created, what are the data dictionary objects you are created, like tables and data elements and domains, right? And what is your program design? Okay, what is your program design? So you need to mention what is the flow of the program, what are the validations you are performing, what are the default values you are passing, what are the names of the parameters in the selection screen, right? And sometimes we mention some sample code in the program, the important design code. Okay, and also the transport request details, all these things you mention in the technical specification document, so that if anyone want to understand your program, they should be able to understand by going through the technical specification document, right? If they want to understand the functionality of technical details of the functionality, they should go through technical specification document. Okay, after technical specification document, sometimes first we create draft technical specification document, right, with minimum details, and then once you complete the development, you will update the document with complete details, because when you are creating the program, you might do a lot of other changes, so you are going to update technical specification document with the complete details after the development. What is the next step? Develop the application. Okay, need to develop the application. After developing the application, what is the next step?
Testing
Unit testing. Who will do the unit testing?
by the developer.
Developer will do the unit testing. We call this as technical unit testing, TUT. Okay, we call it as TUT, technical unit testing, and we prepare a document with test cases. Okay, this is the minimum testing what developer can do. Okay, basic testing. Okay, once the TUT is completed, what is the next step?
Will
Code
request
review.
to move to code review.
No, code review. In some projects, they don't do code reviews, right? But in most of the projects, your lead or someone, your peer will review your code, right? So in unit testing, your functionality is perfectly working, right? So when you did that unit testing, so you came to know that your application is perfectly working, like whatever the functional specification requirement, that is exactly working, right? So then what is the need of code review?
As per the
Performance,
coding standards,
syntax
Yes,
test code.
yes. So working is not a main criteria, right? The program should work properly. You should not take more long time to run, right? And it should not contains any syntaxes which are outdated syntaxes or syntaxes which we should not use. And all your code, right, should follow naming standards of the project. Okay, all your code should follow naming standards of the projects, right? You should not give work area naming convention for variable. You should not give work area naming convention for internal table, right? But these kind of issues, so they'll check in the code review. Also the design, if there is any issues, like if you have used any incorrect process, right? So they can update you on that in the code review. Okay. If there is any issues, you need to fix those issues, and again you need to send for the review. Okay. Once the code review is completed, move changes to test or QA. QA means quality assurance system.
Quality
Okay.
assurance.
And what is the next step?
Test.
Testing. It is the actual testing by
Testing.
testing team. Okay. Whatever we did in the fifth step, right? Technical unit testing. This is very basic testing what developer can do. Okay. To check whether the program is working or not. But the actual functionality will be tested in test or QA system. Okay. So they create a lot of test data and analyze the application whether it is working properly or not. Okay. Clear? What is the next step?
Move to the deployment.
Move to
Production.
production system.
Production.
Means say live system where the actual users are going to use your application. Okay. If it is a new development, if we are in a support project and if you need to fix any issues, there will be a different flow, but yeah, you may not be getting any functional specification on that. If it is a bug in the existing development, bug in the existing application, they are not going to provide a complete functional specification about that bug, right? Functional specification is already there, right? There is a issue in that program. So you can refer that functional specification and technical specification which is created at the time of development, right, for your reference, and you can fix the issue by debugging the program. Okay. The process is same. Only difference when you are working on a defect, right? Defect or bug in the support projects. There is no separate functional specification and technical specification on that bug because it's a issue in the existing application, right? Instead of developing the new application, you are going to debug the application, find the root cause of the error, and you need to fix the error. Once you fixed it, technical unit testing is common. Code review, sometimes they do code review or it is optional. And moving changes to QA, testing and moving to production, these are all common for new development or defect. Okay. So when they create the ticket, right? When they create the ticket in Jira or ServiceNow, if it is a new development, usually we call it as change request. If it is a defect or if it is an issue in the existing application, we call it as bug or defect. Okay. Change request means new development, new enhancement,
Development.
right? So not every time a new development, but sometimes if you need to add additional functionality to the existing program, that is also considered as a change request because you are developing something new and like you are enhancing something new which is not available in the application. Okay. Defect means the functionality is already there in the application, but that functionality is not working as expected. That is a defect. Okay. Adding a new functionality to the existing program, that we called as a enhancement or change request. Okay. Is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
Now let's continue with our program. Now when you are creating the program, what you need to observe or what you need to follow. First step, prepare the selection screen. That is your first step. What is the second step? Here in the preparation of selection screen, what you need to take care? You need to take care of you need to analyze the functional specification and identify what are the parameters required for this program and what are the select options required for this program, right? And you need to design the selection screen and test the selection screen. Once the selection screen is working as expected, what is the next step?
Valid.
If you want to, if the user or functional consultant expecting any default values, populate the default values in which event?
Initialization.
Initialization event.
Initialization.
Okay, that is completed. Test the default values. If it is working fine, what is the next step? Validate.
Selection screen inputs.
Validate the selection screen inputs. Test the validation part. Execute the program and test whether the input validation is working as expected or not. What is the next step?
Business logic.
Business logic development. And keep a breakpoint and test whether whatever the business logic you have implemented is selecting data as expected or not, and prepare your final output. What is the fifth step?
Display the output.
Display the output, or what is the other options we do?
Move to other systems.
Move to other systems using interfaces. Okay. To send the data, what we use? Interfaces. Okay. Interface is to communicate between the sender and receiver system. Okay. Once you display the output, what is the next step after displaying the output or sending the data? That is the final step, right, in a program, displaying the output or sending data.
Yes, sir.
This is our program design. If you So in which step we do this in the project process? Fourth step. Okay,
Develop the application.
it comes under fourth step. After this fourth step, we create a TO, technical unit testing, code review and everything. Okay, now let's create a program. Go to SC38. I think I have already created selection screen, begin of block B1. Okay, now let's assume I need one select option. What is the syntax to define a select option? First, define a variable. First,
Variable.
identify what are the parameters required and what are the selection screen inputs required to select your data. Since I am selecting sales order data, so usually functional consultants will provide this data based on which input they want to select the data. For example, I'll take created date. What is the data element for created date? ERDAT. But if you observe in S4HANA system, right, you can see changes in these data elements when you compare VBL and system. Sorry, when you compare the ERDAT, all these data. Define a variable. Usually we use GV if it is a global variable. Date type ERDAT and define the select option SO underscore date.
For GVD.
Okay, like that you can create any number of select options based on your requirement. Okay, then I'm creating one parameter. So what I'll take, so let's take only select option. Anyway, you know how to use parameters, right? Just use and statement to add the different parameters. I'll take one select option for now, just for this example. My selection screen is completed. Now what is the next step? Check the program, activate the program, add the text elements. Sorry. So we need to add the text elements. Okay, what is the next step after selection screen? Activate the selection screen and we need to maintain
Text.
selection text, right? Create a date. And also I've created one text symbol for heading. Some text I'll create, activate the text. Now test your selection screen. So if you think your selection screen is working properly, you can go ahead. Then what is the next step? Initialization to populate the default values for the
Default
selection
values.
screen inputs. Okay, I'll modularize this selection screen design by creating a include program. Let's go top. Okay, double click, creating a include program to modularize the code. I'll keep the entire selection screen logic here in the top include. You can also create one for the global variables and one for the selection screen. Activate. Now I have only include program. Now in the initialization, we need to populate the default values. If you want to populate any default values, how to populate default values for the select option? Select option name
Options.
hyphen
Sign.
sign. What is the use of this sign field? To
Include or
include
exclude.
or exclude. Do you want to select the values which you have entered in the select option, or do you want to exclude those values? That you are going to decide here, I or E. Okay, in capital letters. Date, I think. Date. What is the next field?
Option.
Option. Between for range, EQ for multiple single values.
Single values.
Low means lower interval value of that particular date field. Okay, some 100 days minus 100 days. Okay, okay, append so date. If you want one more range or one more single value, add one more record to the select option like this by different criteria, a different different lower value and higher value. Okay, test whether this functionality is working properly or not. Okay, it is working, right? The data is populating as expected. What is the next step? What is the next step?
Validation selections.
Validate the selection screen. Selection screen on so underscore date. I'll just make sure there is at least one value in the select option. Otherwise, what will happen? If user did not enter any value in the select option, what will happen? It will try to select all the records, right, from the table. It will create a performance issue. That's why I want to make sure there is at least one record in the select option. How can I do that? If
Yes, sure.
message that the created date type. Okay. Instead of this, you create the text symbol and create a constant for this character one. Okay. Test the functionality. Activate the program and test the functionality. Since there is already a date value, default date value, it won't display that error. But remove the value. Try to execute. So it is displaying the error. So your validation is working as expected, right? Once the validation part is completed and it is working properly, what is the next step?
Business logic, startup selection.
Start of selection, right? Here we write the business logic. You have to modularize this part, but I'm just writing the select statement here itself just to save some time. But you have to modularize this using function modules. Validation, if required, and business logic. You have to modularize it. Select VBAK tilde operator VBLN and whatever the required fields from VBAK, select those fields. Just select TR customer Kunar. Whatever the fields you want, select those fields from VBAK and I'll join this table with item level data. VBAP, Postner, VBAP, material, VBAP. I'll add quantity and price of each line item. I'll just check the field names for the quantity and price. What is NETPR?
Net price.
NETPR is a net
Net
price.
price.
Okay, net price of the item. That's by unit. Okay. There should be other column NETWR, I think. That is for total price. Net price means item wise. If there are uh, if there are 10 items, net price into 10. That should be the total price of that item. Okay. And we'll also see quantity. What is the quantity of that item? What are the fields for the quantity? Check in the table. This one NETWR is for total order price. Okay, total line item price. NETPR is for net price. Okay, let's select NETPR. NETWR. There are quantity fields also. Think MENG. This one. Said MENG. I'll add quantity also from VBAP data. I'll just join these two tables. You know how to join many other tables, right? Like Matner and mm, from VBAK
Okay.
inner join VBAP on the join condition.
VBAK, VBN, VBAP, VBN.
To table the data from LT sales data, where what is the condition? VBAP ERDAT in
So, okay.
SO date. So after data selection, what is the next step? You can keep a breakpoint to check whether the data is being selected or not. What is the next step in displaying the ALV, data in ALV format? Do we have any data dictionary structure here? Do we have any data dictionary structure here? No, right? We are just using inline declaration to create the internal table and we don't have any data declaration. Now prepare the field catalog. What is a function group we need to use, type group we need to use for field catalog?
Please.
List is the type group. And then find the type structure for the field catalog. For that, what can you do? Go to SC37. You can find it in SLIS or simply go to SC37. Go to grid display function module or list display function module. Go to import parameters. This is the field catalog importing parameter. Double click on this. This is a table type. This is a table type and this is the structure. You can take this structure name or table type name to define your data ls underscore cat type. Create one internal table and work area. Okay. Activate the include program. Go back to the main program. Now your field catalog structures are ready. Now populate the field catalog structures. What are the fields available in field catalog structure? Double click on this to know. Go to those substructures. You can see field name, that is mandatory. What is the field name we are selecting?
Created.
VBELN.
We
VBELN. Next, column position 01. Short text. Medium text and long text. Okay, and I want to make it as a key field, or you can also emphasize it. Key wap underscore true. Okay, what you need to do? Append.
append.
Clear the work area so that next field field catalog will populate with the new values. Okay, do the same for the rest of the fields, whatever you want to display in the output. I don't want this as a key column, or I'll keep it as a key column for POSNR. You want to display it in the second position. Okay, next I want to display material. The next position, column position is 3. I don't want to be a key column. Material. Price. NETWR, right? Change the field name. Let's check this data. So there are a few other fields, but I don't want to display them in the output. Let's assume I don't want to display the rest of the fields in the output. I want to display only these. Then what you need to do after building the field catalog, call the
All the function module.
grid display function module, enable the exporting parameter, SYREPID, and